Hey guys, this is Dark King Forever here, and I just have one question. Have you ever played a sequel to a game and just was like, oh my god, this game is amazing compared to the first one? Well, that's what today's video comes in. Today we're going to do top 5 terrific sequels in gaming. Now these 5 games stepped it up when it came to gameplay, graphics design, story, and everything else. Like everything that the first one could lack, the sequel picked it up. And if I asked you what was your top 5 in terms of games, some of these games would be on your list. So with that being said, let's get started with our top 5.
Alright.
Number 5. Now we start off with a game that holds a special place in my heart. This is Zone of the Enders, the second runner. It was made by Konami. This game took the first game and just went far with it. Besides the fact that the first thing you notice is the graphics looks way better than the first one. When the first one they did 3D models, with this one they did more of a cel-shaded look, which gave it a nice futuristic look. Now the gameplay also has vastly improved. It's much easier to pick up and play. You had more sub-weapons that you could use. The game takes place 2 years after the first game, where the previous runner had a black Geddy on the planet Callisto. Now when you start the game off with a character named Dingo Eagle. He is a miner as well as a former Baron soldier. As he's mining on the planet, he ends up stumbling upon Geddy and the AI, Ada. While falling into the sea, he is registered as the next runner, and learning the controls, Baron attacks. It is up to you to save them. Now that's just the start of the story, but it gets deeper and darker as you play, and way more fun. You get to fight big bosses, as well as, intense battles. Especially when you fight against the sister orbital frame Anubis. Anubis will kick your ass, but by the time you end the game, you should be very powerful to fight him. Besides the story mode, there are extra missions that you can play where you can try different orbital frames and do boss battles, survival, and extra missions, as well as a versus mode, which is better than the first one because the first one you only played with Geddy and the other regular enemies. In this one, you get to play as the orbital frames that you fight against, more bosses. And the cool thing about the extra mode, mission mode, and the versus mode is the fact that you can unlock characters by finding them in the main story mode. This game is definitely fun as hell. Number 4. Now I'm a huge fan of this game, even though I'm not a fan of the franchise anymore. Now technically this game is not the second game of this franchise. That game will go to Chain of Memories. But I'm going to put it on here because it's called Kingdom Hearts 2, which means that it is a sequel to Kingdom Hearts 1, in my book. And also, at the time, I didn't have a Game Boy Advance, but don't judge me on that. I was able to play it. Whatever. However, I will say that Kingdom Hearts 2 picked up where 1 left off. Now, there are different drops that you can have in this game. You have Valor Form, Wisdom, Master, and Final. There was also an anti-form, which was basically your just dark side Sora. And in Final Mix, they added one more called Limit Form, which basically made you play as old school Sora, which was fun as hell. The game takes place a year after Chain of Memories, and we start off with a character named Roxas, who looks similar to Sora. The name even sounds similar to Sora. But the point is, this game serves as a tutorial, a 6-day tutorial which shows you the ropes of how the game plays, as well as giving you story tips. Now after the 6 days is over, the game switches over to Sora, and you do your usual stick when it comes to Kingdom Hearts. Go to different Disney worlds, and lock the keyholes that's been opened throughout the world. There's an organization that's attacking you called Organization 13, which is a bunch of nobodies. Get it? Nobody. But they're trying to collect hearts and causing chaos, and it's up to Sora to save the day. The story is actually really good, and what thing I love about the game is the fact that in the final mix of the game, they added the bosses from Chain of Memories, which, yes, I love. The game is fast-paced and bosses galore, and even the final boss is amazing to play against. Oh my gosh, fighting him and hearing the final boss theme always sends chills down my spine. This is why Kingdom Hearts 2 will always be one of my favorites. Number 3. Now, this game right here. If I were to go to anybody and ask them, what was one of the top 5 games that you would like to see get remade or even a remaster? This is definitely one of those games. This is Def Jam Fight for New York, the sequel to Def Jam Vendetta. Now, Fight for New York takes place directly after Vendetta, where D-Mob gets arrested and his whole plan has been foiled. He's being put in jail, but your character comes in and breaks him out before that happened. So you're a beginner who's trying to make a name for himself in D-Mob's game. So you're going around fighting in clubs that are owned by Crow, a gangster who's played by Snoop Dogg. Now, fighting in clubs, beating them, give you money and experience points that you can use to upgrade your character's moveset and attire. Now, the unique thing about this game is the fact that you can actually customize your character better than how Vendetta had it, where you only chose 4 characters that was already pre-made for you. Another cool feature with this game is the fact that you do have fighting styles that you can pick. Now, these fighting styles help you defeat your enemy in different ways. So, for example, if you pick Street Fighter, if you do heavy attacks will instantly KO your opponent when they're in danger. Wrestling attacks, heavy grapples. Martial artists, basically kicking the crap out of them, doing high flying moves will knock them out. Kickboxer, doing a special grab that will keep kicking them in the face will knock them out. And submissionists, of course, you know what happens, they tap out from breaking their bones. Now, the cool thing about the main character is the fact that he can actually pick up to 3 different versions. And if you do it right, you can actually create a brand new style based on the 3 styles. Now, the cool thing about this game is the fact that they also added match types that you can play. There's free-for-all, there's tag, there's inferno matches, there's my all-time favorite, the subway matches. Throwing people into trains is the greatest feeling in the entire game. And there's so much more. The roster is massive compared to part 1. And I definitely recommend that you play this game if you can find it. It is fun and a terrific sequel. Okay, we're not really talking about the third game, because the third game is just straight up a pile of Number 2. This is Batman Arkham City. It was made by Rocksteady, which I'm not gonna lie to you, hands down made the best Batman franchise ever, in my opinion. Like, there hasn't been any misses in terms of this Arkham universe besides what WB Games did, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about terrific sequels, and this is one of them. The game takes place about a year or so after Arkham Asylum, with Dr. Hugo Strange planning something in a small part of Arkham City called Protocol 10. Now, you can tell he's working with somebody, but it's left ambiguous because you got to find the mystery. But as you play through the game, you hear that Protocol 10 will commence in 10 hours. And as you progress further into the story, the hours get lower and lower and lower. Now, besides beating enemies in the game, you're fighting well-known established Batman villains like the Penguin, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, and even the Joker with Harley Quinn. Now, the cool thing about this game is the fact that you don't play alone in this game. You do have other characters that you can try out. There's Catwoman in the main storyline, and in the challenge rooms, you have Nightwing and Robin. Now, the cool thing about this game is they do have different costumes that you can play with. Some are from the awesome, amazing animated Batman series. Some are from Batman Beyond. Some from the comic books like Year One. So much fun. Now, there are DLCs that you can try out in this game. There's the Harley Quinn Revenge story mode, which happens after the main story. I'm not going to spoil it because of the fact that I want y'all guys to play it if you haven't played it. And there's also so many challenging packs that came out for the game that want to test your skills. So, is this a must buy? Hell yes. From not even the costume, from the gameplay to the story to the actual DLCs. And the harder New Game Plus, which take away the notification when an enemy is about to attack you, and enemies hit a lot harder. Definitely worth checking out. And our number 1 is, now this game blew me away in 2008 when I saw it during the Video Game Awards. This is Uncharted 2, made by Naughty Dog. Now, to give you some kind of perspective on what I'm talking about, when I first saw the teaser trailer for it, it showed Drake on a train that's hanging off a cliff, and he's holding his stomach because it's bleeding. You don't know how he got there or what happened, and the next thing you see was Uncharted 2. So I knew I had to get this game when it came out. This game is definitely, if anybody made a list of Uncharted games for worst to best, this is definitely their number 1. Now this game took the gameplay and the level design and everything and just magnified it. The puzzles were much stronger, the gunplay was better, the hand-to-hand combat had more oomph to it. Even though part 3 affected it, part 2 started the trend. It started it up, and they just flew with it later games. The graphics for part 2 were way better than 1. It looked amazing. The action was really in your face. Like I said, you start off on a train that's hanging off a cliff, and you have a bleeding Nathan Drake. And then it picks up. It's like watching an action movie or playing it. We had introduced new characters named Flynn, Chloe, and Lazarevich, who's a bastard, but we're not talking about that. The story took place a couple of years after the first game, and you are trying to find the lost city of Shambhala. Now, the cool thing about part 2, besides the story mode, which is actually a little longer than the first game, is also the fact that they added multiplayer. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see the putting footage from multiplayer, but I'm going to tell you right now, that multiplayer was fun. Now with the multiplayer, you would think that it was just tacked on, but no. They gave this game much thought before putting it in. It has co-op, it has the usual team deathmatch, capture the flag, elimination, and it was fun as hell. And because of the fact that a lot of players enjoyed playing it, they kept putting it in other sequels. So, Uncharted 2 is a must play. And it's basically easy to pick up and play now because they do have the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection that you can play. If you have the Thieves Plus Premium, you can actually play it on there now. So I definitely recommend you pick up. And there you have it. Those are my top 5 games that had terrific sequels. If you have any other games that you think that should be on this list, please put it in the comments below. And stay tuned for more top 5 videos. Dark King Forever is out.